Skyline Chili isn't everyone's cup of tea, and it isn't even real chili. But you probably shouldn't let anyone from Cincinnati hear this. A New York food reviewer called eating Skyline's chili a rite of citizenship. And another reviewer from Deadspin called the chili a bad-tasting Z-grade atrocity. Still, Skyline is the top dog when it comes to making chili. And the story of how they achieved this is heartwarming. Nicholas Lambrinides, the founder of Skyline Chili, was born and grew up in Kastoria, Greece, where he learned the fine art of cooking from his grandmother and mother. Nicholas got married, and in 1912, at 33, he decided to move to America. The founder got to Cincinnati armed with only the knowledge of cooking he gained from his grandmother and mother. He had no one with him, not his wife or children, but he was determined to change this. Soon, Nicholas found work as a cook for a railroad crew. He worked in a hotel kitchen and also had a business on the side where he cooked quick-to-make foods. Eventually, after working for almost a decade, the founder got enough money to bring his family over. Then World War II came. Nicholas was able to work during the war. He worked as a chef for brothers Ivan, John Athanas, and Argyrio Karajev, the owners of Empress Chili. Empress Chili revolutionized the way people saw chili in Cincinnati. The brothers Americanized their Greek recipe, introducing their unique spice to make chili more flavorful than people were used to. They were the forerunners of what people now know as Cincinnati chili. But little did they know their reign at the top would be short. While Nicholas worked at Empress Chili, he learned about the business side of running a restaurant and began perfecting his own recipe. Then, in 1949, he left Empress Chili to start his restaurant around the area known as Quebec and Glenway Avenue. The founder began his business with his 5 sons. People say the name of their restaurant, Skyline Chili, was because the restaurant gave a great view of the Cincinnati skyline. Nicholas's chili was different from the American chili and what his former bosses at Empress made. While people were used to thick chili with beans, Nicholas's was thinner and couldn't be eaten alone. He served the chili alongside spaghetti and cheese, and it was a bang among Cincinnati people. They loved the novel idea, and eating chili that way became the only proper way of eating chili. The idea caught on so much that subsequent Cincinnati chili restaurants like Gold Star adopted it. Nicholas and his family didn't think of expanding their business at first. He and his sons ran the restaurant as a close-knit circle. No one knew why their chili was so good, as only the family knew the exact blend of spices they used. Nicholas died in 1962, and in 1965 his sons decided to expand the business. They began to package and sell frozen chili and spaghetti to grocery stores. Selling to grocery stores was just the beginning. The business began to open up new company-owned stores and franchises. To maintain its quality for these new stores, the company built a factory that distributed the chili to these stores. With steady growth and expansion from the mid-60s, Skyline Chili became the poster restaurant for chili around Cincinnati. But it was just beginning. The chili brand had grander ambitions. It wanted to extend its influence outside Cincinnati. To do this, the family had to look outside of itself. So they brought in Thomas Bell to head the company in 1984. And if you like to learn about the history of your favorite eateries, be sure to subscribe for more content like this. The Lambrinides sold 4% of their stock to Thomas, and his ambition matched theirs. The company's new head looked beyond Cincinnati and wanted to take the company from its less than 30 locations to 200. From there, Thomas wanted to take the chili brand to over 1,000 stores. The new head believed that people outside Cincinnati would warm to the new menu. Bell planned his expansion around the company's frozen chili sales, which he felt would support the new stores in dominating new locations. Thomas went to work and opened 50 Skyline franchises in Ohio and nearby locations. The business had stores in Florida, West Virginia, and South Carolina. The firm adopted its Cincinnati identity and let this reflect in its frozen food packaging. This yielded tremendous results as selling frozen chili to grocery stores provided 20% of their revenue. But all wasn't well. Thomas's expansion happened too fast, and his belief that people would love Skyline's chili was wrong. Not everyone did, and this affected the success of the stores they opened. Locations in Florida, South Carolina, and even the parent state Ohio got shut down. But it wasn't all bad. Despite losing stores in Florida, some remained open. By 1986, the company's debt had risen, but it made growth to the franchises and company stores they had. To solve their debt problem, the business went public, with the Lambrinides holding the majority share. Also, the firm began opening smaller stores to cut costs. Thomas Bell also slowed down his expansion drive, preferring to slowly open new stores and franchises. By 1988, the company had 78 stores and sales went up. However, improved sales didn't translate to a more significant income. Still, the company wasn't where it wanted to be nationally, and it tried to fix this. When the store opened in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. in 1989, it took a drastic step. Using the sentimental attachment the people from Cincinnati had with the business, the company used people from Cincinnati who liked the brand to create hype around it. These customers camped outside the location, which made people curious about the business. As the store opened, over 1,000 people visited. However, it was a fleeting victory. Thomas Bell believed the company was progressing, but the Lambrinides had a different notion entirely. When Thomas resigned in 1986, they revealed that their business was no longer growing. Then, to improve their fortune, they took a big risk. The brothers approached the high-profile William G. Kegler, who was a director on their board of directors, for the CEO job. Kegler had worked at Kroger, but he left when he repeatedly clashed with Kroger's chairman. The man was used to much higher standards than Skyline could offer. Despite all of this, Kegler accepted the job. Unlike Bell, Kegler wasn't keen on expansion. He believed it wasn't what the business needed, and he began to close down stores that were not performing well. Kegler focused on solidifying the brand's hold in its native Ohio and fighting off its rivals who had begun to gain a foothold. So Kegler didn't expand until 1993, and he had his sights on Indianapolis, Indiana, and Louisville, Kentucky. The business changed how it operated to support its new expansion drive, preferring to sell chili as a restaurant with table service than as a cafeteria. So Kegler had them close the stores in malls and food courts. Kegler achieved his aim. The business stabilized and sales improved. So he resigned as the CEO while Lambrinides resigned from the company. In 1997, sales had significantly improved, with Kevin McDonald, the CEO that took over from Kegler, maintaining the same slow expansion ideology. With Skyline's growth, businesses courted them for purchase. Meritage Hospitality was the most insistent. The company approached Skyline twice in 1997 despite facing financial issues of its own. However, Kevin McDonald and the rest of the board were not convinced. There were speculations that Carl Linder, one of Meritage's creditors who would take over if Meritage failed to pay its debt, was behind the plot. People believed Linder wanted to own the chili brand. Despite Meritage offering $25 million, the chili company remained determined not to sell to them and went for Fleet Equity Partners' lower $24 million. Fleet Equity Partners is a private equity group, and its purchase of the company returned the chili brand to its former status as privately owned. The Fleet deal retained some high-level personnel, and it prevented Meritage from coming up with a new deal. The sale didn't change the brand's goals. It still remained focused on slowly expanding and not overextending itself. By the end of the 90s, the brand had 70 stores in and near Cincinnati and 45 stores around Ohio. Still, the company wanted more, but was ready to be patient. The brand's slow expansion had them focusing on targeting areas close to Cincinnati first, then cities around it. The plan was to have the cities around Cincinnati have close to 40 stores. The slow expansion allowed Skyline to see that its business could be successful as a regional store. It didn't do well in stores far from its parent state. It thrived in Florida because of how connected the state was to Ohio, since many people from Ohio went to retire in Florida or for vacation. The company retained its influence in places it had formerly extended to that also survived its earlier closure. While it has ambitions to take on America nationally, it remains the king in Cincinnati. When many people think of Cincinnati chili, they think of Skyline. Cincinnati chili is the pride of the people that come from Cincinnati, and Skyline Chili has helped the people hold on to that pride. Skyline's impact on the Cincinnati chili restaurant scene is legendary, as it outstripped its competitors to become the face of Cincinnati chili. However, it looks like the company is limiting itself by not trying to have a more national presence. Or what do you think? Should the chili brand hold on to its regional identity, or should it ignore its former failures and try to have a national presence? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to support our channel.